Hello, history enthusiasts, and welcome back to the Phantasmal Eternity channel. Today, we're delving deep into the dark corners of human history to uncover some of the most bizarre and gruesome torture methods ever devised. But before we start, I must warn you that the content in this video is not for the faint-hearted. We're going to discuss graphic historical torture methods that might be disturbing for some viewers. If you're fascinated by the macabre aspects of history and enjoy exploring the eerie depths of the past, make sure to subscribe to Phantasmal Eternity and hit the bell icon. This way, you won't miss out on any of our weekly dives into the strange and uncanny tales of yesteryears. Throughout history, civilizations have concocted horrifying methods to punish the wrongdoers, extract confessions, or simply instill fear. From mechanical nightmares to psychological horrors, today's list of top 10 bizarre historical torture methods will leave you in disbelief over what humans are capable of. As we start our countdown of historical horrors, at number 10 is the ominously named Spanish donkey. Not to be confused with any benign animal, this device was an instrument of acute agony used prominently during the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish donkey was deceptively simple but terrifying in its function. It consisted of a sharp-edged wooden board, almost like a sawhorse, on which the victim was forced to sit, straddling it as one would a horse. The real horror began with the addition of weights, which were incrementally placed on the victim's feet. Each weight would pull the victim further down onto the wedge, intensifying the pressure and pain to unimaginable levels. Utilized during one of the most fear-inducing periods in European history, the Spanish Inquisition, this device was not merely a tool for punishment. It served as a gruesome method to extract confessions from those accused of heresy and other religious offenses. The mere threat of its use could break the will of many, pushing them to confess to crimes they may never have committed. It's instruments like the Spanish donkey that remind us of the dark paths human ingenuity can take under the guise of justice. The inventiveness dedicated to such devices is a chilling proof to the depths of human cruelty. As we move on, remember that each method we discuss today has its own dark story, reflecting a time when law and order had a very different meaning from what we know today. Stepping back from the brutal physical torment of our last device, at number 9, we find a tool of psychological and social punishment, the scold's bridle. Also known as the branks, this metal mask was a stark symbol of silenced voices during the 16th and 17th centuries in Britain. The scold's bridle was no ordinary mask. It was crafted from iron and was often fitted with a gag that pressed upon the tongue. The primary victims of this cruel apparatus were women, who were accused of what was then termed scolding, or simply speaking out against the norms or their husbands. This mask was not just a tool of punishment but a public symbol of humiliation and a warning to others. Used extensively across Britain, each region had its own slight variations of the bridle, customizing the humiliation to fit local sensibilities. The wearers were often led through town, their faces locked in this iron mask, subjected to the ridicule and scorn of their own community. It's chilling to think about how a society once endorsed such a method to stifle the voices and spirits of women. The scold's bridle wasn't just a tool of torture. It was a powerful emblem of control and a stark reminder of the historical struggles women faced, simply for speaking out. Though physical and psychological tortures from our list are terrifying, they all serve as grim reminders of the past atrocities that humans have endured and inflicted. Let's remember these not just as tales of horror but as lessons on the importance of empathy and justice. As we delve deeper into our list of historical horrors, number 8 presents us with a particularly grotesque instrument known as the pear of anguish. This sinister device might sound like a strange artifact from a Gothic tale, but its reality is far more harrowing. Crafted from metal, the pear of anguish was designed to be inserted into one of the victim's orifices, mouth, rectum, or vagina. Once in place, a screw mechanism would be turned, slowly expanding the pear, until it caused unbearable pain and often irreversible damage. The origins of this device are shrouded in mystery, with its alleged use in medieval Europe primarily for those accused of witchcraft, homosexuality, and blasphemy. The pear of anguish was not just a tool for physical torture but also served a symbolic purpose, grotesquely punishing what were seen as sins of the body and speech. Imagine the sheer terror and helplessness that victims would feel, knowing the agony that awaited them with the turn of a screw. This device's cruel design and brutal purpose are stark reminders of the barbaric lengths to which human cruelty can extend. Its devices, like the pear of anguish, highlight the darkest chapters of our history, where fear and punishment were intertwined with the most intimate violations of human rights. As we move forward in our list, let's carry with us not only the horror but also the resolve to learn from the past, ensuring such atrocities are never repeated. Number 7 on our list brings us to a creation of ancient ingenuity and unparalleled cruelty, the brazen bull. Conceived in ancient Greece, this device wasn't just a tool of torture. It was a horrific spectacle of execution designed as much for the ears as for the eyes. Crafted entirely from brass, the brazen bull was designed to resemble a real bull, life-sized and imposing. Victims were forced inside its hollow body, and a fire was lit beneath. As the metal heated, the bull would become an oven, roasting the person inside alive. The horror did not end with the method of execution. The bull was designed ingeniously with a series of tubes and stops that converted the screams of the suffering into sounds resembling the bellowing of a bull. This macabre transformation of human agony into a spectacle was a chilling demonstration of the cruelty and theatricality of ancient punishments. The brazen bull was not only a method of execution but also a psychological terror weapon used to instill fear among the populace. The audible transformation of pain into the animalistic bellows served as a stark reminder of the ruler's power and the grim fate awaiting those who dared defy them. In the shadows of such monstrous creativity, we're reminded of the depths of despair and cruelty that human innovation can reach when guided by malevolence and tyranny. As we explore further, each method of torture and execution we uncover serves as a grim chapter in the human saga, urging us to reflect on our past and the values we champion today. In the turbulent times of the Renaissance, when the balance of power was as much in the hands of the Church as it was with the monarchs, a terrifying instrument known as the heretic's fork found its sinister use. This device, simple yet brutal, symbolized the oppressive measures used to silence dissent and enforce conformity. The heretic's fork was a bifurcated metal tool with 2 sharp prongs at each end. One end was affixed to a collar around the victim's neck, and the other end pointed directly at the chin. This cruel contraption forced the wearer to hold their head in a raised position, for lowering it would drive the sharp points into their throat and chest. Employed during the Inquisition and trials of heresy, the fork was not merely a tool for physical torment but also a profound method of public humiliation. Victims, often accused heretics, were paraded through streets or displayed before crowds, the fork ensuring they could neither speak nor lower their heads in supplication or despair. The psychological impact of such a device was immense. It served as a powerful deterrent, a warning to all who witnessed it about the severe consequences of questioning dogmatic beliefs. The heretic's fork was not just about inflicting pain. It was about breaking the spirit, controlling thoughts, and policing speech. Tools like the heretic's fork remind us of the dark chapters of human history when authority, cloaked in the guise of righteousness, wielded fear and torture as instruments of governance and control. As we continue our journey through the annals of historical torture, each device not only tells a story of pain but also a lesson on the resilience and spirit of those who endured. Let's bear witness to these stories as we move to the next unsettling method on our list. As we delve deeper into the grim arsenal of historical torture devices, we encounter the Judas cradle, a sinister invention of the Middle Ages designed not just to punish, but to inflict maximum torment over extended periods. This daunting device consisted of a sharp, pyramid-shaped seat. The victim was slowly lowered onto this point, either by ropes or chains, with the tip positioned to exert pressure on the body's most sensitive areas. The true horror of the Judas cradle was in its methodical, excruciating use of gravity as an instrument of torture. Victims were often suspended for hours, or even days, with their own body weight gradually increasing the agony. Sleep deprivation was a common addition to the physical pain, as the slightest relaxation of the body could result in further injury. Used throughout the Middle Ages, the Judas cradle was a feared tool for extracting confessions. It was not used indiscriminately but reserved for those whose secrets were deemed so valuable or whose crimes were considered so heinous that ordinary methods of interrogation were insufficient. The psychological terror of awaiting one's turn on the cradle was often enough to break prisoners. The mere sight of the device could elicit confessions, making it a potent symbol of the ruthless justice of the era. The Judas cradle reminds us of a time when justice was often equated with the ability to withstand unimaginable pain. It challenges us to think about the evolution of societal norms and the value we place on human dignity today. As we continue to explore the dark underbelly of historical punitive measures, let us reflect on how far we have come and the lessons we must carry forward. Next, we venture into a device that stretches the limits of human endurance. In the shadowy depths of medieval dungeons, the rack stood as one of the most feared instruments of torture. Its design was deceptively simple yet devastatingly effective at breaking both the bodies and spirits of those subjected to it. The rack was essentially a large, rectangular frame, typically made of wood. The victim's ankles were fastened to one end and their wrists to the other. As the interrogator turned the handle, the ropes would pull in opposite directions, gradually stretching the victim's body. This brutal stretching was not swift but a slow, agonizing process. The torturer could control the degree of pain by tightening the rack incrementally. It was used not only to inflict severe physical pain but also to extract confessions and information, playing on the victim's fear of the next turn of the handle. Widely used throughout medieval Europe, the rack became synonymous with the darkest aspects of human justice. Its presence in a dungeon served as a stark warning to all who entered, whether prisoners or visitors, of the severe penalties for crimes, both real and imagined. The enduring image of the rack in historical texts and popular culture reminds us of the extreme lengths societies once went to in the name of law and order. It speaks volumes about the human capacity for cruelty when sanctioned by authority. As we uncover these relics of past tortures, we are not just recounting tales of cruelty. We are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit faced with unimaginable adversity. Let's carry this understanding forward as we explore even more grim devices in our countdown. As we continue from the terrifying legacy of the Iron Maiden, a device whose very image evokes shivers, we prepare to delve even deeper into the abyss of historical torture methods. These next entries were not only tools of physical agony but also profound psychological torment. Each method we've uncovered so far has shown us not just the physical designs but also the psychological impacts these devices had on societies. They were built not only to punish but to serve as stark deterrents, embedding fear deep within the collective consciousness of the populace. As we approach the final two methods on our list, let us remember the importance of remembering these dark tools. By acknowledging the depths of past cruelties, we ensure that the lessons they teach about human rights, justice, and compassion are never forgotten. Stay with us as we reveal the top two most bizarre and brutal torture methods, which stand out for their sheer inventiveness and the chilling impacts they had on their victims. These are not merely stories from the dark corners of history. They are warnings from the past, urging us to strive for a future where such horrors are never repeated. Number 2 on our list brings us to one of the most brutal torture methods ever conceived: saw torture. This method is so viscerally horrifying that it seems almost unimaginable that it was ever employed. Yet, historical accounts suggest it was used in various parts of Europe to instill terror and enforce power. Saw torture involved hanging the victim upside down. This inversion was key, as it utilized the body's own circulatory system to its disadvantage. Being upside down caused blood to rush to the head, keeping the victim conscious for much of the horrific process. The torturers then used a saw to slowly cut the body in half, starting from between the legs. This gruesome method was not only chosen for its physical brutality but also for the psychological terror it inflicted on onlookers. It was a public spectacle, often carried out in crowded squares to serve as a grim warning against dissent or criminal behavior. The sheer brutality of saw torture is difficult to comprehend in our modern context. It represents an era where the value of human life was often overshadowed by the macabre theatrics of power. The savagery of such an act reminds us of the depths of cruelty that fear and authoritarian control can engender. As we stand on the brink of revealing the most bizarre and horrifying torture method on our list, let us take a moment to reflect on the lessons these dark practices teach us about humanity, justice, and the importance of safeguarding human dignity. At the top of our list, we encounter the breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel. This device symbolizes one of the most prolonged and brutal methods of execution used in Europe until the 19th century. Its use reflected a society where justice was often equated with visible, prolonged suffering. The breaking wheel was a sizable wooden wheel with radial spokes. Victims were tied to the wheel and then horrifically bludgeoned, their limbs systematically shattered by the executioner's blows. This was not merely an execution but a spectacle of suffering meant to deter others by demonstrating the consequences of crime. Executions using the breaking wheel were public events, gatherings that drew crowds and served as grim reminders of the power of the law. In some cases, the shattered victims were left on the wheel to expire slowly, displayed until death claimed them. This was not just physical torture but a profound infliction of psychological terror on the community. The legacy of the breaking wheel is a stark reminder of the barbarity that can arise from justice systems when they are designed more to frighten than to rehabilitate. It compels us to reflect on how far we have come in our understanding of justice and human rights, and how vigilant we must remain to never return to such practices. As we conclude our journey through the dark history of torture methods, it's crucial to remember why we recount these stories. It is not to glorify the past atrocities but to ensure we remember the cost of forgetting humanity in the pursuit of justice. Let these histories serve as reminders of the deepness to which humanity can sink and the heights we must strive to reach. As we close this chilling journey through history, we've revisited 10 of the most bizarre and brutal torture methods ever conceived. From the agonizing stretches of the rack to the horrific spectacle of the brazen bull, each method we explored today not only served as a tool of suffering but also as a stark indicator of the times in which they were used. These methods illustrate the dark chapters in the evolution of human rights and justice, showing us just how far societies have come, and how critical it is to uphold the dignity and rights of all individuals. We invite you to reflect on these stories and join the conversation in the comments below. Which method shocked you the most? Are there other historical torture methods you know of that are equally terrifying? Your insights and knowledge can help deepen our collective understanding of history. If you found this video enlightening and thought-provoking, please like and subscribe to the Phantasmal Eternity channel. Please share this video to raise awareness of the importance of remembering history's darker aspects, so we may continue to learn from them. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you next time for more content that uncovers the mysteries and macabre of the past.